All right, guys, I made it. All right. Here we go. We made it. I was having some technical difficulties. I tried going live on my phone for the first time and was getting some weird ads that were just playing on loop. So I had to stop it and start again. I promise I will figure out this live streaming on YouTube. All right, Morgan's on and she said it's sounding much better. All right, thank goodness, because I was freaking out. But here we go with the topic today. Obviously, running 5 minutes behind because of that, so that's a pain. But in this video, it's hopefully going to be helpful to any of you guys who want to build muscle and also want to stay lean while doing it. All right, so I started a new muscle building phase this month, so just last week, and my goal is to, and my plan is to gain about 5 pounds of muscle over the next 5 months or so. And I'm going to do that while staying around 15% body fat or lower. All right. So welcome to the video. So if you're joining, if you're just jumping on, please let me know in the comments if you can hear me all right, if you can see me, if it's working, the audio and the visuals are working, because I just tried to go live at 12 at the time it was planned for, and it was on my phone, and it was a disaster, and I had to restart it. So I think there was like 5 people on before, so hopefully they get back on here. But please let me know if you're joining the video, if you can see and hear all right, whether you're live or on the replay. And also let me know where you're watching from. I'm in New York here. We're actually moving in a week. So we are moving, and I'll be in a different house. So this is the last video actually you'll see with me in this setup here. So I'll have a new setup at the new house. But if you're just joining, please comment below just to make sure before I get started that you can see me and hear me all right. And introduce yourself. Let me know where you're watching the video from, because I've had people here on YouTube reach out from all over the place, from New York, like where I'm from all other countries, the UK, India even, Canada. So yeah, would love to get to know you guys and see where you're watching from. And basically in this video, like I said before, I'm going to pull back the curtain on my own game plan. I started a muscle building phase last week, and my plan is to gain about 1 pound of muscle per month for the next 5 months. And I'm going to do that while keeping a body fat percentage of 15% or less. All right. So for context, it may not sound wildly impressive. For context, most people are not going to gain more than 2 pounds of muscle in a month. If you're a total newbie, you've never worked out before, never tracked your food before, you can gain 2 pounds of muscle in a month if you're doing things very, very right. You have a very dialed in game plan. The average person can't really expect to gain more than 2 pounds of muscle in a month. And the more experience you have, the less likely you are to be able to gain more muscle. So for someone like myself who is pretty advanced, right? I've been working out for 14 years. I've done this dozens and dozens of times. It's not realistic that I'm going to gain much more muscle than that. Uh, it's just not, right? As an advanced lifter and someone who's been tracking my macros for many, many years. So that is my own personal goal. You may be able to do more than that because maybe you aren't as experienced with strength training or tracking your food, or maybe you are, right? So what I'm going to do is go over, and I have a whole list of notes here, and I'm going to just share literally everything I'm doing so that you can get ideas from it. Feel free to ask questions in the chat here. I'd much rather you ask any and all questions you have about what I'm doing or about what you should be doing compared to what I'm doing. It would be way more helpful for me to answer your questions rather than just say everything I have. But I will show you exactly what I'm doing with nutrition, with eating with macros. I'm going to share my exact macros, my workouts, cardio, everything, how I'm tracking my progress. So I hope you enjoy the video. And if you do, make sure you subscribe to my channel if you don't already, because I make videos 1 to 2 times per week. And I go live every Wednesday at 12 p.m. And I've been doing that for about a month now. Go live on Wednesday at 12 p.m. every week. I'm still learning how to do the whole live video thing. As you can see by today, where I started the video, it totally wasn't working and I had to redo it. So let's get into it. So my 5-month plan to gain 5 pounds of muscle and stay under 15% body fat. Number one, there's going to be 8 simple things that I go through. Number one is I'm logging my workouts. I'm going to put this in the chat. Number one, log workouts. And what I mean by this, let me know down below in the chat if anybody here logs their workouts. All right. And by logging workouts, what I mean is jotting notes down of how much weight you lifted for each exercise and each set, and how many reps you were able to get. So what my clients do is I have a training app that I design their workouts and I send it to them in the app so they can see exactly what exercises I want them to do, in what order, and how many sets and reps to do with each exercise. So for my clients, it's super easy. And the app keeps track of their data. So if they put in there that they did 100 pounds for a chest press and they were able to get 7 reps, the app is going to save that information. And the next time they do that exercise, it's going to notify them what they did last time or what their PR is for that exercise. So the reason why logging your workouts is so helpful and so important is because keeping track of the weight and the reps you're able to get, without a doubt, helps you see better results with getting stronger. Okay. And this is like, I can't even explain the massive advantage it gives you. If there's 2 people who are doing the same exact thing and one of them's logging their workouts and one isn't, the person who's logging their workouts is going to see noticeably more progress when it comes to strength in the gym. Okay. So this is something that, for me, is definitely going to be helpful. So number one is logging your workouts. Let me know down below if anyone does that right now, whether it's just in a notepad like this or whether you have an app that you use as well. All right. So that's the first thing I'm doing. Number two, and it sounds kind of silly, but I'm aiming to get stronger. Every workout I go in, I'm going to try to do better than I did last time. Of course, I'm not going to. Nobody can get stronger every time they step in the gym. Otherwise, we'd be bench pressing 1,000 pounds after a couple months, right? But going in with the mindset of I'm going to attempt to try to get stronger. And that could be doing 5 more pounds with that exercise than you did last week, or it could be doing the same weight that you did with that exercise last week, but getting an extra 1 or 2 reps. Both of those would qualify as getting stronger. So let me put that in the chat too. Aiming to get stronger. Because the truth is, a lot of people just go through the motions, and myself included. It's easy for me to here we go. It's easy for me to go in the gym and kind of go through the motions and stay within my comfort zone. Even though I love fitness and even though I'm motivated to work out and I really like this stuff, what doesn't come naturally to me is pushing out of my comfort zone, is trying to get uncomfortable with the amount of weight that I'm doing and the amount of reps that I'm going for. It's easy to stop when it just starts to get a little bit uncomfortable. But the truth is, if your main goals are around getting stronger and building muscle, that has to be a really main focus of yours. You have to be okay with getting uncomfortable and pushing out of your comfort zone, doing an extra 2 or 3 reps that were really, really a struggle, where you're you were really struggling to get the weight up. And really what we want to be is between 1 and 3 reps away from absolute failure, if not even going until failure sometimes. Okay, but that's the level of intensity we want to train with, and most people are training way far away from that. They're not 1 or 3 reps away from failure when they finish a set. They're like 5 to 10 reps away from failure. And the way that I like to kind of put it into perspective, and it's kind of a bad example, or kind of like a inappropriate example, but imagine you're doing a chest press or whatever exercise you're doing, and you stop your set where you normally would. Now imagine someone's holding a gun to your head and says, do 5 more reps, otherwise I'm going to shoot you. That would make you probably do the 5 more reps. Like, you're probably capable of doing the 5 more reps if you needed to. You see what I mean? So that's kind of the way we need to train, or at least aim to train, if we are really serious about building muscle, okay, and getting stronger, of course. So if you're on the video, let me know down in the chat. Let me know where you're watching the video from, and also let me know if the audio is working all right. Thank you for joining. If you're new here, my name is Jesse, and I'm a coach, online coach for men. I've been running my Modern Man program since 2017. So we're 8 years into it. And before that, I still had my own business coaching clients around Manhattan since 2015. Been in business 10 years. So been making content on the internet for 10 years, been doing this a really long time. And I appreciate you joining and watching. And if you're a subscriber, I appreciate you even more for checking out my videos and my content. All right. So this is, if you're just jumping on, this is my plan to gain 5 pounds of muscle over the next 5 months while staying lean, while staying under 15% body fat. I'd estimate that I'm around 12 to 15% body fat currently. Maybe that's off. Maybe I'm a little bit less. Maybe I'm a little bit more. My foot scale at home says I'm about 15% body fat. I don't really trust that too much. Oh, we got Jason here. What's going on, man? Jason, thanks for joining, man. What time is it over there in the UK? You said, I'm a client with Jesse for many years and seen fantastic results. Jason's crushed it. Jason has seen amazing progress. And dude, you're in wildly better shape in your 40s than you were in your mid 30s. So a perfect example of what's possible with gaining muscle, losing body fat, just keeping a great body composition. All right, so number one, the first thing I'm doing to make this happen is logging my workouts. This is really, really a game changer. The second thing is I'm aiming to get stronger in each workout that I do, even though it's not always going to happen. Number three, and this one, a lot of you guys are hesitant to do this, but you may need to do this if building muscle is a priority. Number three is I'm going to be eating in a calorie surplus. Okay, people are scared to do this. People are scared to eat more food on purpose. They think that if they eat more food on purpose, if they eat at maintenance or even in a surplus, that they're going to gain a bunch of body fat. If you don't know what you're doing, yeah, you might gain a bunch of body fat. But if you have a strategic plan in place, a calculated plan, certainly if you have a coach who's helping, it's going to make it way less likely that you're unhappy with the way you are looking and the way and the results you're seeing, right? So if I want to gain a pound of muscle a month, I'm not going to do that eating in a calorie deficit. Being an advanced lifter, someone who's been doing this for over a decade and a half, it wouldn't be realistic. I wouldn't really be able to gain a pound of muscle while being in a deficit per month. Some of you, if you're a total newbie, you might be able to. I have clients right now who are fairly new to strength training and who are certainly new to eating in a calculated way, tracking their macros, and they are successfully losing body fat, which means they're eating in a deficit while gaining a few pounds of muscle, right? For a newer trainee, this is totally doable, totally realistic. I've had dozens and dozens of people successfully do that over the years. This is where my experience might differ a little bit from yours, depending on your experience level. For my experience level, I pretty much need to be eating at maintenance or in a surplus to gain that amount of that amount of muscle per month. Okay. So I'll be eating in a surplus, but not a massive surplus. This is the mistake I made in the past when doing like a muscle building or a bulking phase. Eating way too much food, thinking I'd be able to gain a lot more muscle, the more of a surplus I was in. So I was eating 4,000 or more calories a day as someone who's 5'9" and 155 pounds. uh, so, gaining way more fat than I should have, right? Um, so what I'll be doing is eating in a surplus of anywhere from 100 to 300 calories above maintenance. So it's a very small surplus, maybe even right around maintenance, or sometimes some days probably at maintenance. But it's a very, very slight surplus. And this is going to be the nutrition approach that helps me to predictably gain some muscle. As long as I'm getting stronger, as long as I am pushing myself hard in my workouts, while also staying fairly lean. So I imagine my body fat percentage will stay about the same or will go up 1 or 2 points during this process of building muscle. But I'm still going to stay lean. I'm not going to let it get out of hand. I'm not going to end up at 20% body fat, or I'm not going to end up obese because I'm trying to gain some muscle. I'm still going to be walking around looking pretty lean. And when people see me in the gym, they probably think, like, they probably don't know that I'm in a gaining phase. So that's kind of my approach with nutrition, with eating and calories. And I'm going to share what my exact macros are and my exact calories are in just a few minutes here. Okay. So let me know if you've ever eaten in a surplus before. I mean, listen, if you've ever gained weight, you've eaten in a surplus, right? So all of us have eaten in a surplus before. Not many have done it intentionally, right? If you've ever gained, 5 or 10 or 15 pounds, gradually over the years, you've been eating in a surplus. Maybe it just wasn't intentionally. Let me know down below in the comments if you've ever done it intentionally. And you may not know what that is for you. You may not know what a surplus is considered for you. Maybe you do know, or maybe not. But yeah, so for me, I've been eating around 2,600 calories all year in 2025, and I've maintained my weight. I've maintained my weight of between 149 pounds up to 152, 153 pounds. I've maintained that 3 or 4 pound range all year, eating 25 to 2,600 calories. Okay. So for me, that's around maintenance. So what I did was I bumped up for this phase. The initial starting point is I'm eating about 28 to 2,900 calories. So I bumped up my calories by like 200 to 300 calories per day. And I'm almost certainly going to need to increase this. I'm almost certainly going to need to eat about 3,000 or more calories if I want to expect to gain this amount of muscle consistently. But that's something that I'll do gradually if needed. All right. So that's the third thing, is I'm going to be eating in a calorie surplus of between 100 to 300 calories above maintenance. And if you don't know what your maintenance calories are, comment in the chat maintenance. I do have a maintenance calorie calculator somewhere that I can share with you. And if I see any comments that say maintenance, I'll try to look for it while I'm live here, and I can send you the link. If you're not sure what your maintenance calories are, and it's important to know that for a fat loss phase or a muscle building phase, comment below maintenance, and I'll do my best to locate that maintenance calorie calculator for you. All right. So here's the fourth thing I'm focusing on to make this happen in this phase, to gain a pound of muscle per month while staying lean, keeping under 15% body fat. 80% of the time, I'm going to try to eat healthier foods. So like whole foods, like fruits and vegetables, like protein sources like meat, fish, eggs, fiber sources. That's what I consider healthier, right? Like healthy is such a weird, to eat healthy or to eat clean is like such a weird thing to say because it means something different to everybody. What you think is healthy may not be the same as what I think is healthy. So that's why like when people say I'm eating healthy or I'm eating clean, that's your approach. Like you can't even tell me what that is, right? You can't even tell me what that means specifically. That's why I like tracking my food, tracking my macros, because it's a calculated, clear plan that if we eat this amount of food, whether it's healthy or not, if we eat this amount, you're going to see results. You're going to see the results you want. You're going to see your physique and your body improve. Of course, now let's try to eat whatever you consider healthy is. Let's try to eat that most of the time. So for me, like I said, that's whole foods. It's fruits, it's vegetables, it's whole grains, fiber sources, lean protein sources like chicken, ground turkey, ground beef, eggs, egg whites, fish like salmon. I have cod in the fridge. So 80% of the time, most of the time, I'm trying to eat these healthier foods and keep it fairly healthy. Let me tell you though, it's hard when you're in a gaining phase, when you're eating in a surplus, it's harder to eat healthy foods most of the time than it is if you're in a deficit. If you're eating 1,500 or 2,000 calories, it's not a ton of food that you have to get right with healthy foods. If you're eating 2,800, 3,000, 3,200 calories, and you have to fill up all these calories with healthy foods, it's way harder. It's a different challenge. It's a different ball game. So this is probably the biggest challenge for me is to try to be as healthy as I can while doing this. I don't want to resort to, if I'm at 2,500 calories and it's 9 p.m. at night and I'm supposed to eat 300 or 400 more calories, what's easier to do? Eat half a pint of ice cream or make grilled chicken and a cup of rice, or you know what I mean? Like it's more work. It's harder usually to eat healthier foods. So that's why this is like a main staple. This is one of the main things I'm trying to focus on. And what I'm including in this, eating healthier foods 80% of the time, I'm trying to limit like real desserts to just once a week. I am allowing for Halo Top ice cream more than once a week. So if usually what I'll do is I'll buy a pint of Halo Top ice cream, which is lower calorie ice cream. A pint is only like 300 or 400 calories. So, and it doesn't have a ton of sugar. So that's like a healthier, better alternative to normal desserts. So I'm allowing for like one real dessert per week and then like some Halo Top on top of that. All right. So that's kind of my limit and how I'm trying to balance and have structure with like really the unhealthy stuff like the desserts, the highly palatable foods like desserts and sweets. All right. So let me put this in the chat because let's see. Number 2 was aiming to get stronger. Number 3 was eating in a surplus, 100 to 300 calories over maintenance. Number 4 was 80% healthier foods, 80% of the time. All right, let me know if that's helpful to put these numbers in the chat like that so you can see it. And also, if you're on here live, I know Jason's on, I know a few you other guys are on, let me know in the chat below. I'll be going live every Wednesday at this time at 12 p.m. Eastern time. And if you have specific questions, put them in the chat, whether it's about the topic today, what I'm doing in my plan here, or about what you should be doing. Feel free to leave them in the chat. I'd much rather spend this time helping you guys out with whatever questions you have. And yeah, so let's move on. So that's number 4. Number 5, and this is an important one for not gaining a ton of body fat. Number 5 is I'm going to monitor my weekly average weight. Okay. Those of you who don't have a coach, and maybe you're doing this on your own, there's going to be a lot of work on your plate to make sure that you get this right? If we're talking about similar goals of gaining muscle while limiting fat gain, there's going to be a lot of data and numbers and work on your plate to make sure that this is done properly. And this is what I mean. So I have my clients weigh themselves every morning, 7 days a week, obviously, unless they're traveling or they don't have access to their scale. Generally speaking, at home, 7 days a week, they're weighing themselves and they're entering it into a spreadsheet we have of all their health metrics, right? So there's formulas been built into that, so we can easily see at the end of the week, what is your weekly average weight, right? Your weight is going to fluctuate every day based on a million factors that it's not worth even going into. All of us, our weight is fluctuating every day. 1 pound up here, 2 pounds down, 2 pounds up, 3 pounds up, back to normal. So what's more important is to look at the weekly average. So here's the thing. We're talking about very fine numbers here in my case. If I'm looking to gain 1 pound of muscle per month, how much should my weekly average weight be trending up compared to the previous week? 1/4 of a pound, right? It's pretty simple math, right? If I'm trying to gain 1 full pound each month of muscle, what that equates to each week is it's trending up by 1/4 of a pound. That takes meticulous evaluation, right? That's not like, oh, I wake up and I look at the scale and I'm a pound heavier, so I think I'm doing it right. Like, no, that's winging it, right? What we do here with the Modern Man program and the way I coach is very data driven. And, I try to do the evaluating myself. I ask you to weigh yourself and tell me what you weighed, but I'm the one who is ultimately evaluating the weekly average week to week and letting you know if we're on track or if we need to change something or if we should adjust anything. And so I'm aiming to be trending up in weight by 1/4 of a pound, by 0.25 pounds each week in order to gain 1 full pound each month. Now, I may gain a little more than that. If I gain 2 pounds some months, I'm okay with that. Maybe that means I gained 1 pound of muscle and 1 pound of fat. It's obviously not going to be that perfectly even. Maybe it means I gained 1.5 pounds of muscle and 1/2 pound of fat. But the idea is going at this rate will make sure that I'm not gaining an excess amount of body fat. This is where people go wrong with, they call it a dirty bulk, for people trying to gain muscle and they end up gaining way too much fat. Where they go wrong is they gain at way too quick of a rate. They end up gaining 60 or 70% of that weight being body fat and 20 or 30% of that weight being muscle mass, because we can't gain muscle mass that fast. So if I gained 10 pounds in this time period, in 5 months, if I gained 10 or 15 pounds, I still will have only gained probably between 3 and 5 pounds of muscle, which means I gained 7 to 10 pounds of actual fat. But if I can keep my weekly average in check by a rate that I'm happy with, and I can make sure that I'm only gaining between 1 and 2 pounds total on the scale each month, I can be sure that I'm at least not gaining a ton of body fat. I'm not going to end up in a situation where, oh God, it got out of hand, I'm at 20% body fat. That will never happen because I'm keeping track of these things and monitoring my progress very closely, right? Let me know if that makes sense in the comments below. Let me know if this idea of monitoring your weekly average weight, if that makes sense to you. If you already do that now, I know there's a couple guys that I work with on here. Jason's on, and I think 1 or 2 other guys. Let me know if monitoring your weekly average weight, if that makes sense to you, or if you've done it before. And if you're just jumping on the video, let me know down in the comments where you're watching from. Let me know where you're located. Oh, we got Adam on here. Adam asks, are you going to reduce cardio to a minimally required amount of cardio? Great question. That is on my list here. I'm going to go over that, okay? That's actually, I made a mistake around the cardio topic in the past. This is what I'm going to go over with you, all right? So if you can hang in there for a little bit, I'm going to cover that, all right? And if you have to leave, let me know and I'll answer it right away, All right, good question though. But let me put that in the chat. Number 5 was monitor weekly average weight. All right, you know what? I'll go right to that one right now. So let me see, which ones have I done? I've done this one, that one, that one, that one. Weekly average weight. Okay. All right. So number 7, or number 6 here, I'm going around, is I'm going to aim for 10,000 steps daily. All right. And I'm going to go into cardio generally, right? So in the past, what I would do in a muscle gaining phase is I would do exactly what Adam said. I would actually reduce my activity because I'm thinking in my head, you know what? I'm trying to gain weight. So why do I need to be active? What's the point in being active and doing cardio? I go the other way on it now. I try to still be active, which for me is trying to get 10,000 steps and usually doing 1 or 2 sessions of cardio a week, which is either walking on an incline treadmill or jogging, a mile or so, or playing basketball. Most recently, what I've been doing pretty much every weekend in the summer is playing basketball for an hour or something like that, which is way more fun to me than going on a treadmill. So no, I'm not reducing my activity for the simple reason of health reasons. There's other reasons which I'll mention. We don't want to be in a position where we are not strengthening our heart while also eating a ton of fucking food, right? Like in the past, this is what I did, right? As a younger person, I would be eating 4,000 calories a day and a lot of that being junk food to try to gain muscle and doing on purpose no cardio because I'm trying to gain weight. Now I'm doing cardio and I'm trying to get 10,000 steps simply because I know it's good for my health. He asked, would you change the cardio to more HIIT for muscle growth? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I like low intensity, steady state. What I'm doing right now, walking while I'm talking to you, I like steady state cardio, and I like playing basketball, and I like, as a third option, jogging or running for a mile or, like a shorter distance like that. There's no difference that, like, whether you do HIIT or whether you do steady state like me, there's not going to be a difference in your muscle growth. That isn't going to determine the muscle growth side of things, right? And again, this is coming from somebody who's done a dozen muscle building phases, who's gained over 20 pounds of muscle as an adult. I was 140 pounds as a senior in high school, and I've gotten up to 175 pounds as an adult. So, like, I've done all this naturally, and I've done it without cardio. I've done it with cardio, various types. I've, competed in men's physique a number of times. So the cardio aspect and the type of cardio isn't going to factor into how much muscle you gain. The 2 most important things that are going to factor into how much muscle you gain is how much you're eating, and is that optimized, your macros, your protein, your carbs, how much total calories you're eating, and how you're training in the gym. Are you doing what I said before, where you're really getting stronger? A lot of the time you're getting stronger in the gym. If you're not getting stronger, if you're not pushing right up until failure, that's going to be one of the top, if not the top thing that impacts how much muscle you gain. All right. Now, the cardio is, again, it's going to be a helpful piece for staying healthy during this phase, for strengthening your heart as well, for also like putting some of all of this food that you're eating, which should be more in this phase, putting it to good use, right? But it's not going to be the thing that impacts the muscle building. All right. So for me, what I'm doing in this phase is I'm aiming for 10,000 steps, probably more. Like the more food I'm eating, the more active I'm trying to be. Um, Now, if that means I have to eat a little bit more to be in a bit of a surplus, fine. But you're not going to burn a ton of calories just from, like if I do a cardio session, I'll burn a few hundred calories, maybe 100 or 200 calories. If I do a cardio session, whether it's HIIT or whether it's, running for a couple miles, that's not like enough calorie burn that you're going to need to eat a massive amount more food, right? We really overestimate the effect that calorie burn through cardio has. Uh, Someone asked, what do we do if we have a very busy schedule? In regards to what? Because I have a very busy schedule too. In regards to workouts or food, or because most of my clients, McBatman, I love that. That's an awesome username. McBatman. Most of my clients are like executives for their companies, or some of them are business owners. Some of them are like medical professionals, financial professionals. Like I said, a bunch of them have their own businesses too. Tech professionals, people who are sitting at a desk for 10 hours, 12 hours a day. So, I'm not working with people who are like twiddling their thumbs all day and have all this time, right? I'm working with people who are working usually 10 to 15 hours a day. Um, so my strategies are based around that, right? It needs to be time friendly. It needs to be sustainable for them long term. Obviously, in this video, I'm talking about what I'm doing, which is a little bit different. But none of these things that I'm talking about are like I'm not in the gym for 2 hours a day. I'm in the, like this morning I did a push workout. It took me 40 minutes. I went through it pretty quickly. It took me 40 minutes. Um, I'll get 10,000 steps today, but look, I'm leveraging my time. I have an under the desk walking pad. I'm working right now. Like I'm doing a presentation for you guys, which is part of my work. Can you do this while you're on a Zoom call, right? Can you get an under the desk walking pad for $100 on Amazon and have that if you work at home, or have that at an office, right? Is that like something you're able to do? Like these are just things, ideas to help leverage your time. So I easily get in 10,000 steps a day just using this for a couple hours. I'm not going to be walking all day on this, but I'm doing it for 45 minutes while I talk to you. And I'm doing it for 15 to 20 minutes when I do coaching calls. I have 2 clients that I'm speaking to today that I do a coaching call with them, and I'm getting in an extra 1,000 steps while I'm talking to them. And then I have like an intro call with someone who is interested in working with me and having me as their coach. It's like a free consultation. So that'll be 30 minutes where I'm talking to him like this, and I'm walking while I'm doing it. So I'll be using this for 3 or 4 hours today, maybe at most, maybe 3 hours. And then for 6 hours, I'll be sitting down working, right? Um, so hopefully that answers your question to some degree. But if you have specific questions on like, how do I do the nutrition with a busy schedule? How do I do that with a busy schedule? Let me know, or shoot me a message, or leave more comments below. But generally speaking, can you fit in like a 30 to 40-minute workout a few times a week? Because that's all that's needed. Adam says, you mentioned macro levels. Do you choose low protein or high? How much grams per pound are you going for? Yeah, great question. That'll be next on my list here. So you're hitting all the points. You're hitting all the good questions, man. Definitely a higher protein though. Like a lower protein diet certainly wouldn't be what I would recommend for what we're talking about today, which is I'm trying to build muscle. I'm trying to build 1 pound of muscle per month. It's not going to be easy to do that. It probably isn't even realistic to do that on a low protein diet. So I'm going to tell you my exact macros and everything here in just a minute. All right. And why I chose those macros. And thank you for watching, Adam. Thank you for the comments. McBatman, thank you for the comments. Keep them coming. This is number 5, I think, or is it number 6? Number 6 is that getting 10K steps a day plus 1 to 2 cardio sessions a week. And like I said, the cardio sessions are going to be shooting hoops for an hour or running a mile, jogging a mile, seeing what I can get as my time. So it's not a ton of cardio, right? It's like running a mile is like if you're bad at it, it's like a 10 to 15 minute thing, right? That's not a big ask. I can get a mile in under in the 7 to 8 minute range right now. So I want to improve on that, but 7 minutes of cardio, like really not that bad. The 10,000 steps for me, again, I do it while I'm working. So it's not like I'm going out and making extra time to do it. So the next thing, the seventh thing that I'm focusing on is tracking my macros diligently. All right. Number 7, tracking macros diligently. This is also where I went wrong in the past, where I made a mistake, where a lot of people make a mistake, is they track their macros diligently in a fat loss phase when they're trying to get leaner. But because in a muscle building phase, they're eating more food on purpose, they think they can be more flexible with it. They think they can be really loose with it and not track as closely or as honestly. So things get out of hand. They get in that mode of, I can eat whatever I want. I can fit more into my macros. I can fit, more junk food into my macros. But really, we want to track pretty closely. Like I may not, yeah. So this is a big part of it, specifically when I'm really concerned with keeping a pretty lean body fat percentage, right? If I didn't care how much fat I gained, I wouldn't need to track too diligently. I just eat a ton of food and know that, yeah, I'm going to gain a bunch of fat, but I'll also probably gain a little bit of muscle and I'll get stronger. When you have both goals of not only I want to gain a certain amount of muscle, but I also want to keep a good body composition. I don't want to go above about 15% body fat. That's why we want to look at things a little bit more diligently and in a more calculated way. So I want to be a little bit more careful with my eating. And I want to make sure I'm eating in a slight surplus, but not a massive one. And I want to make sure I'm eating fairly healthy foods most of the time. And I want to make sure that, I'm still staying active. So the exact macros that I'm starting with, I'll put them in here. My starting macros. It's 215 grams of protein. It's 90 grams of fat. And it's 300 grams of carbs. All right. So let's dive into this a little bit. So this is without a doubt, a high protein diet, because I mentioned earlier, I weigh 153 pounds. This morning I was 153, and I'm eating 215 grams of protein. Why is that? Let me try to explain it as best I can, and feel free to come on with the questions. There's a difference between eating just to be healthy and eating to be someone who is trying to stay fairly fit, and eating and tracking macros to literally have a great physique, right? Like I'm someone who's been a men's physique competitor. So I know what it takes to get as shredded as I can humanly possibly get. And I know how to set up macros for other people to help them get the most shredded they're capable of getting. So I'm not trying to do that right now, but I'm trying to really optimize my body composition by building muscle while keeping a really good physique. So it's not 2 grams per pound that I weigh, Adam, because that would be over 300 grams of protein, right? But it is, I don't go per pound, right? Because the old saying that you still hear like trainers telling people, eat 1 gram of pound or 1 gram of protein per pound that you weigh. That is so inappropriate for a lot of people. It's inappropriate, maybe not for people in the middle, but it's inappropriate for people who are very overweight and it's inappropriate for people who are in very good shape, or more advanced. So like for myself, who has a pretty good body composition, maybe 12% body fat, maybe more muscular than the average person, lower body fat than the average person, strength trains more than the average person. Someone who's in that level of experience and that level of body composition, they can benefit from having more protein than what their body weight is. So that's why you have someone like me who weighs 155 pounds and is eating 200 grams of protein. On the flip side of that, people who are very overweight have no business. An example of someone who's 300 pounds. They have no business eating 300 grams of protein. They don't need it. They usually have much less muscle mass, much more body fat. They're usually not working out. They're not as active. They have, you know, in the past, I've had people 300 pounds or more. I'm often recommending somewhere in the range of like 150 to 175 grams of protein, because they just don't need that much yet. Their body composition isn't there yet. So what I often go by when thinking of how much protein someone should eat is their lean body mass, which is essentially their body composition. So, and it's on a scale, right? Someone like Jason, who was, at least he was watching before, he's similar to me. He has a similar weight to me. I think he weighs around 155, and he's eating a similar amount of protein as well. He's eating like 200 grams of protein or something like that. And then I have other people who are 250 pounds who are aiming for 190 grams of protein. And it all depends on your abilities as well, your experience. I have people who are still learning how to eat higher amounts of protein. So getting to 150 grams of protein is a win for them. That's an improvement to what they've been eating the last decade. So those are the macros I'm starting with. That equates to about 28 to 2,900 calories. The carbs being at 300 is, you know, a fair amount of carbs, but it's not some insane number. There's a lot of people out there eating 300 to 500 grams of carbs a day and have no clue and wouldn't even classify themselves as people who eat a lot of carbs. They have a bagel for breakfast. They have pizza for lunch. They have, you know, pasta with sausage or something for dinner. They have tomato sauce on it. They put jelly on their bagel. You're looking at 400 carbs, right? It's like, it's not that hard to accumulate like that. But, you know, that's not someone who's super into their fitness, obviously. That's someone who's probably struggling with their fitness, but that's most people. Most people are overweight. But for me, 300 carbs, I'm trying to get that from whole foods like fruits, vegetables. I'm trying to get that from fiber sources like whole grains and things like that. And that is going to be used towards my workouts. That's what your preferred fuel source is going to be used towards your workout. So I try to get in some carb source both before and after my workouts as a pre and post workout nutrition. Usually before the workout, it's some fruit. After the workout, maybe it's also some fruit with some honey and a protein shake or something like that. I'm doing my best to get in my 90 grams of fat from fairly healthy sources, whether it's olive oil, whether it's eggs, whether it's like a lot of the fats also come from our protein sources like meats with ground turkey, ground beef, things like that. You're going to accumulate fats with that as well. So yeah, so again, these are my starting macros. This is just what I know. I've done this 100 times. I know what my body is best off doing and how I feel best. And I'll almost certainly need to increase these over time. And when it comes to increasing them, the protein will almost certainly stay the same. I won't be increasing that. But the fats and the carbs are what I can play with, which ones I prefer to increase when I feel like I need to increase calories. So So yeah, so Adam, again, I don't know. I was a little bit all over the place. It's definitely not 2 grams of protein per pound that you weigh, but it's also going to be different for each person. So what I'll put in here is protein total usually is going to equal 1.2 to 1.3 times your lean body mass. So what that means is it's taking into account your body composition. Okay, so you may have to kind of do some research or ask me after this, how do I figure out my lean body mass? It has to do with your body fat percentage. Um, and then what you can do is multiply your lean body mass times 1.2, see what that number is. Does that seem like an appropriate number? Again, this is for somebody who's trying to build muscle while staying lean, or like that's usually the formula I use for body recomposition. Someone who's trying to either lose fat while gaining muscle or gaining muscle while avoiding gaining as much fat as possible. If someone just wants to lose weight, this is more than enough protein. They can eat less protein, right? If it's just straight fat loss, you could literally eat 0.7 grams of protein per pound of goal body weight. So you might be eating less protein than you even weigh, right? So this all depends on your goals as well. So Adam, I don't know your goals. I'm certainly not saying you have to eat the same ratio of protein that I eat, right? All my clients are eating different amounts based on what their goals are, their experience level, their build, their body composition, their experience level. Like they're so like this is like more of like a high level macro prescription. You see what I mean? Like um, rather than just there's a million ways we could set someone's macros and have it be fine. But I'm not trying to have it be fine. I'm trying to have it be really optimized. Um, and yeah, so I'm gonna go to my last one here, and then I'm gonna finish it up, which is progress photos. Number 8 is weekly progress photos. And I'm doing this because I'm trying to keep an eye on where my body composition is, right? I'm trying to keep an eye on, like when you take progress photos weekly or even at any frequency, whether it's once a month, once a week, every other week, it's another like part of your routine and your ritual that reminds you that it's important to you, and it just makes a difference. It's like weighing in every day. Of course, you can look at that information and evaluate it. Of course, you can look at the progress photos and make sure that you're on track. You may not see super noticeable differences certainly on a week by week basis. You're not going to, but part of the routine, part of the progress tracking, um, and it's another reminder once a week that this is a priority to you and something that is really important to you. So those are the 8 steps and the 8 things I'm focusing on to you know pretty predictably build 5 pounds of muscle in the next 5 months or so, 5 or 6 months throughout the winter here in New York, while doing my best to stay under 15% body fat. All right. If you have any questions about this, let me know. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. I'll be going live every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern time, and I release videos on top of that 1 to 2 times a week. Got a video coming out in the next day or two here as well in regards to tracking your food. It'll help with. Adam, if you have more questions, feel free to reach out to me, and happy to answer more questions. McBatman, feel free to reach back out to me. You said I want to lose 1 to 2 pounds a week. How many steps should I aim for, and how much of a deficit should I go in? You should go in a deficit of 500 calories under maintenance. All right, that'll predictably help you lose 1 pound a week. As far as steps go, it depends on how many steps you're at now. If you're getting 2,000 steps a day now, aim for 5,000. If you're at 5 or 6,000 steps now, maybe aim for 8,000, right? You want to aim for a couple thousand, maybe more than what you're naturally getting. Yeah, someone said to upgrade the microphone. Yep, that's fair. All right, guys, I got to hop off now for a client call. See you next week on Wednesday. If you have more questions, let me know. Reach out to me and I will answer them, whether it's an email or a message here on YouTube or on Instagram or anything like that. Hope this was helpful, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.